Hey guys! So welcome to another class with English with Vicky. Today we are going to be looking at time clauses for C1 and C2. Okay, I'm going to explain what they are, what are time clauses, and how we can use them, some common mistakes and things like that. But first I'm going to do a little warm-up activity with collocations. Okay, so everybody's always asking me, Vicky, what about collocations? Tell me more about collocations. Okay. Before we move on to today's grammar, let's start with some useful C1 collocations. So, what is a collocation? A collocation is a combination of words that naturally occur together. At C1 level, it's important not only to know a wide range of vocabulary, but also to know which words naturally go together. Hello, Anna Maria. Hey. Okay, so choose a verb from the box and put it in the correct form. So we're going to make now some collocations. I think I prepared 9 using these ones. Okay, I'm going to put this in the chat so that you guys can use them if you want. Okay, so the first one we have is break. Then we have embark, engage in. Some people do say engage in, engage, same. Have 3 times. Lose, make, and undergo. If you don't know the conjugation of undergo, it's underwent and undergone. It's a nice one if you didn't know it. Okay? Hello, Maker. Oh, Brazilian hug, thank you. Hey, Amel. All right, so the first one is the CEO has a major transformation since the new CEO, the company. The company has a major transformation since the new CEO took over. What do you guys think that could be? Would you say break, embark, engage in, have, or what with a major transformation? Hello, Alina. Hey, Mr. Foster. What would you say for a major transformation? Would you say have a major transformation, make a major transformation? Awesome, Anna Maria, you got it. And in this, with has, what would we say with has? Hello, Barros from Timor-Leste. Awesome. Undergone. Awesome. Yeah, undergone because it would be the present perfect. Brilliant. Good job, Anna Maria and Mr. Foster. Nice. Good teamwork there. So the company has undergone a major transformation since the new CEO took over. Awesome. Nice little phrasal verb in there as well, guys. Took over, to take over. Number 2, the introduction of flexible working could a significant impact on employee satisfaction. Good job, Zazu. Hey, Zazu, that's it exactly. Well done. Yeah. What about number 2? The introduction of flexible working hours could have significant impact on employee satisfaction. What would you say for that one? You can see I've got the answers. Hey, Lorenzo. Lorenzo, it has to be one of these. Where are they gone? It has to be one of these guys. Okay, we're trying to use with one of those. Or I hope you're not saying there's a delay with the connection now. I'll be really upset. What do you think? So the company has, the introduction of flexible working hours. So we're looking for something, what goes with impact? Yeah, hello Bilal, good job. I meant could delay. Yeah, but delay is not so yeah. Bilal, you're correct. Sorry, I can't see the first sentence because of the TikTok format. Oh no. Now? Is that better? I can't see. From here, I don't know what you guys can see. So you have to let me know if something's in the way. Because on my screen looks a bit different. And my chat is way over to the right. So I can see my screen perfectly. A little bit more. Down. Like this. Is that right? So I can see the more words. Oh, okay, cool. I can keep putting the words in the chat as well. Look. These are the options. I'll put them in the chat also. You're so welcome. There you go. Okay, cool. Good job, Mr. Foster. Awesome. Have an impact on. Well done. The introduction of flexible working hours could have a significant impact on employee satisfaction. So it's always have an impact on. Okay. Number 3, even a relatively small increase in interest rates can a noticeable effect on consumer spending. Even a relatively small increase in interest rates can a noticeable effect on. So we're looking for what can we match with a noticeable effect on, or just like an effect on. Yeah, good job, Zazu, well done. Have, exactly, okay? Even a relatively small increase in interest rates can have a noticeable effect on consumer spending. Awesome, good job. That's it, yeah, Mr. Foster. I think I have 2. Awesome, Anna Maria, yeah, brilliant. Number 4, teachers can a considerable influence on the career choices their students make. I haven't been very creative now with the order of my answers here, but anyway. Good job, Mr. Foster. Yeah, teachers can have a considerable influence on the career choices their students make. Yeah, I wish my teachers had had an influence on mine. I brazened through it. I wish I had taken their advice, to be honest. Anyway, what about you guys? Who had an impact or had an effect on your career choices? I really admire people who like made their own choice based on what they like, but often I feel like some adult has had an effect on us. Okay, number 5, many people interest in a hobby if they do not see themselves making any progress. Good job, Anna Maria, well done. Good job, Alina. To lose interest in, that's it. Number 6, she hopes to the national record when she competes in next month's championship. Good job, Prey. Good job, Amel. Well done. Well done, Anna Maria. Good job. We can't watch? No? Why can't you watch? Why? Good job, Alina. Good job. Well done. Nuru is back. Hello, Nuru. What's up? Okay. Good job, guys. It's break. You break a record. Okay, good job, Prey. Good job, Amel. That's it. Okay. You guys can advise me how I should continue on with the... Nuru, are you a bot? I'm going to ask you directly, okay? Because I wouldn't like to mute you if you are not a bot, but can you send us a message that doesn't have a hand at the end of it? Okay. Number 6, she hopes to, break that. Number 7, providing employees with more flexibility could, a real difference to their work-life balance. Good job. Well done, Steph. You got it. And somebody else got it too. Let me see. Anna Maria, good job. Steph, yeah. Well done. Mosey, well done. Alina, good job. Zazu, good job. Mr. Foster, well done. Yes, this is an English lesson, Verse. Okay, well done. After graduating, he decided to provide employees with more flexibility could make a real difference. You make a difference, exactly. Number 8, after graduating, he decided to on a completely new career in the technology sector. What do you think? Number 8. I'm showing you all the questions now. Good job, Zazu. Embark on. Embark on. After graduating, he decided to embark on. Hey, Prey, it has to be one of the options we've done above, guys. Remember? So it is embark on. Okay, well done. Yeah, embark on, Zazu. Good job. When we say embark, it's like a big task, like a big journey, okay? You embark on, an adventure, embarking, like in the airport. Okay, and the last one, students are encouraged to activities outside the classroom as part of the program. Yeah, students are encouraged to activities outside the classroom as part of the program. What do you guys think? Students are... Which one didn't we use? There's one that we haven't used, I think. And it's that one. Turn off the air conditioning. It's the one that we haven't used. Yeah, I can. Hang on. Yeah. One sec. There you go. I'm going to put them in the chat again. There you go. Forgot the words. They're in the chat there, look. Can you see? Students are encouraged to activities. React. Zazu, what do you mean by react? They're not in the chat. I can't see them in the chat. Oh my goodness. I put them in the chat. Look here, guys. They're there. These ones. I don't know why my I can see my message, but you guys can't. Okay. Not embark. No. Yay, I got you all. No, not embark. Yes, Alina, engage in. Well done. React. Oh, it's break. Break. It should look, I think you can't see the whole screen, eh? It's oh no, look. How can I move this slightly to the left? Okay, that's annoying now. I don't know why, but I can't kind of grab the, maybe. No, no? Maybe you can see now. Oh, react. It's break. Okay. Yeah, it's engaging. Alina got it. Okay. Zazu, can you see the screen now fully? It seems to be too late for me. Hello, Aruzhan. Aruzhan, these are my notes. It's not a book yet. Maybe it will be in the future. Okay. Let's see. First letter not visible. Oh, Zazu, I'm sorry. Can you see it now? Okay. Yeah, I feel you, Anna Maria. Long day. Long day. Okay, awesome. So we're moving on now to Arushan. Oh, well. Nope. No, you can't see it now. Oh, dear. That's annoying. Hang on. Now I've moved something. Ah, okay. Hang on. Hang on, Zazu. Let's see if we can improve this a little bit. Zazu, how's that? Is that better? A bit better? Let me know if you can see that now. It can be seen better on bigger screens. Oh yeah. Okay. Awesome. Is that okay, Zazu? Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Cool. All right. Awesome. Okay. So guys, the next topic we're going to look at this week is time clauses. Now, I know when you see this, you think, oh God, this is very easy, but it is on the C1 and C2 course still. So I'm gonna, what I have prepared is pretty complicated. Hello, Memo. How are things in Morocco? Right. So first of all, what are time clauses? So a time clause, I hope you guys can see. Put it down a bit. A time clause establishes the chronological relationship between two actions, events, or situations. At an advanced level, this can mean showing that one action is simultaneous with, so it's happening at the same time. Prior to means it happened before. Subsequent to, it happened after. Interrupted by, or completed before another. Okay? And having level C1, C2 means that you can accurately put things in chronological order. They're commonly introduced by when, while, as, before, after, until, once, as soon as, and by the time. It's really useful for storytelling. I have a lot of people for work, they want to practice storytelling because they need it for presentations, meetings, things like that. So let's compare. The implications of the policy only became apparent after it had been in place for several months. Okay, so there was a new policy, but they didn't see the problems with the new policy until the policy had been in effect for several months. Okay, so the implications of the policy only became apparent after it had been in place for several months. So you can see here, like, there's no way a B2 student is going to produce that sentence. That type of sentence you're going to see with people who have level C1 or level C2. Okay, they use this use here of only, so everybody knows only, we know the literal meaning of only, but to use only in this type of sentence is pretty complicated. a condition of time. Hello, Mother Earth. We call them transitional words, teacher. You call them transitional words, yeah? Okay. You see, it depends, I suppose, on the book. Some of the terminology and the names they differ from country to country, publication to publication. They're called in Cambridge, which is what I use primarily. They call them time clauses, but transitional words is. Are you thinking of connectors, Mother Earth? Maybe you were thinking of connectors. Exactly, Zazu. Past perfect. Yeah, past perfect here. Okay. There is thought transfers in the text. There is thought transfer in the text. Okay. So the time clause doesn't merely tell us when, right? The past perfect establishes that the policy had already been operating, past perfect continuous, for a period before its consequences became apparent. Okay, really nice. So, why do we use them? Time clauses allow us to express complex sequences. Okay, so obviously, beginner level, we have really easy sentences with time clauses. But at your level, we're talking about very complex sequences without breaking them into a series of disconnected sentences. So we're able to put everything together in a little story. And the person who's listening to us understands the timing of the different events. So let's compare. The researchers collected the data. They published their findings. Okay, so like this is quite a good B1 plus, even like B2 level with the vocabulary here. Okay, but it's 3 sentences, so you can see it's quite like broken up. Hey, Mother Earth, when you meet these words in text, it shows thought change. We teach this in IELTS. Yeah? Let me see. The time, the implications of the policy only became apparent. How is there a thought change in there, Mother Earth? I don't see how there is a thought change in that sentence. Could you give me an example? Okay, Zazu, after the researchers collected. Okay, yeah, you're trying to use after. So Zazu, I say, after the researchers collected the data, they verified the results and published their findings. That you could say that, for example. Another way to say it is, once the researchers had verified the data, they had collected, they published their findings. Okay, so that would be now like C1 plus level. Okay, yeah, so after the researchers had verified the data they had collected, you could use after as well in that case, Azu, yeah. The second sentence establishes a precise sequence. No had with publish? No, there isn't, because the verification of the data they collected happened before and the publishing happened after. So the publishing happened more recently. So we're, yeah, do you get it? You got it? Okay, yeah. So we're making sure that they published the data, but the other things happened before they published the data. So we're distinguishing between 2 events that happened in the past. Okay? So the second sentence establishes a precise sequence. So first was the data collection, the data verification, and then there was the publication. So this becomes particularly important in academic, professional, and sophisticated spoken English, where we frequently need to explain how events relate to one another in time. Okay? Hello, Octavio. All right. Now, we're moving. Our objective is we want to move you guys from level B2 to C1 and C2. Okay? So it's quite a lot of skill involved in this jump. Okay? So at B2, you are expected to control fundamental patterns, such as, Octavio, where are you from? I'm Irish, Octavio. I'm Irish. So I'll contact the supplier as soon as I receive confirmation. Okay. And understand, while we normally don't say as soon as, I will receive confirmation. So here you can see as soon as plus present simple, even though really this is the future. So at B2 level, if you can manage this, that's perfect. Okay? Thank you, Octavio. Yeah, Ireland is a nice country. Have you been? Mother Earth, for example, I made the risk assessment. You did a risk assessment, no? Then I submitted my report to thoughts, making and submitting. I did the risk assessment and then I submitted my report. Yeah, I did the risk assessment, then I submitted my report. Okay. So it's like, well, two actions, no? More than two thoughts. Two actions, right? If conditional, okay, Zazu. Twice will in one sentence, it's not possible. No, the reason is, Octavio, are you an English teacher? Yes, I am. Transitional word is then. Okay, Mother Earth, cool. Okay, so you're transitioning from one action to another action. Nice. Okay. Where are you from, Mother Earth? I'm interested. Are you in Asia? Or where are you from? I'm wondering just about the terminology. Zazu, when you say as soon as, we don't use will. That's a rule about time clauses. Okay? So as soon as Harry gets home, I will make dinner. Do you understand? You're in Canada, Mother Earth. Awesome. And what's your first language? So yeah, as soon as we use present simple, even though with as soon as we know we're speaking about the future generally. Okay? All right, cool. Yeah. I was down here. So at C1, the question becomes more sophisticated. You need to choose between several grammatically possible tenses according to the meaning you want to convey. Okay, really nice verb there, guys. Convey. If you haven't heard it before, it's a really nice one. So let's compare. We'll reconsider the proposal when the economic situation improves. So we have another one, Zazu here, look. We will reconsider the proposal, future simple, but then after when we have present simple, even though it's referring to the future. Okay, we wouldn't say here we'll reconsider the proposal when the economic situation will improve. No. Okay, so these are the rules for the time clauses. The improvement itself is the relevant future event. Okay, we'll reconsider the proposal when the economic situation is improving. This reconsideration may happen while signs of improvement are emerging. The improvement need not be complete. Thank you, Octavio. I'm sure you are too. We'll reconsider the proposal when the economic situation has improved. Okay? Okay. Hello, Guerrera. Reconsider or take into account. Let me see. We'll take... Reconsider? You couldn't put in here take into account, eh? We'll take into account the proposal. You rather say we'll take the proposal into account if the economic situation improves. No? Something like that. You're welcome, Octavio. Zazu, no would. I would use would. We'll reconsider the proposal. Or you would say that you're making it hypothetical, Zazu. So Zazu, you would say we would. That's a conditional though. We would reconsider the proposal if the economic situation improved. Could be the second situation, the second conditional, hypothetical. Rethink, let me see. We'll rethink the proposal if the economic situation improves. But then you're more limited with what you can do in the second clause if you use rethink. Yeah. We'll rethink the consideration. Yeah. We'll rethink the consideration. Because you see, you couldn't say we'll rethink the proposal when the economic situation has improved. You could, yeah, you could. Good job. So the improvement must have been achieved before the reconsideration takes place. Hello, Regal. Thank you. About my voice, it's a nice one. Okay, so the grammar therefore allows us to communicate different degrees of completion and overlap. Octavio, you can see the cost of all of my classes on my website. Okay, it's all on my website. At C2, you should be able to manipulate these relationships flexibly, particularly when describing complicated sequences. Okay, by the time the authorities acknowledged the scale of the problem, concerns had been mounting for months, and several independent organizations had already called for an investigation. Okay, online website, yes. Okay, so here the tenses allow us to position several events relative to one another rather than simply listing them chronologically. Okay, so why are we studying this at advanced level? Because advanced learners often know the basic rules but still make subtle mistakes when the chronology becomes complicated. Okay, so number one, automatically using, this is what Zazu, this is what you were talking about. Automatically using will for anything referring to the future. So this is something, okay, some of you know, I don't want to offend anyone, but some people, yes, when they want to move from B2 to C1, they would like to put will in every type of future tense. And we don't do that. It's great if you have level B1 to learn about will and so on and so forth. But the reality is that we don't use it all the time for the future. Okay? This thing is funny. So once the negotiations will have concluded, both parties will issue a joint statement. No. Okay? After once, we don't use will, right? We don't use will. So it would be once the negotiations, you see, because of my bad English, what do you recommend? Okay. So instead we would say once the negotiations have concluded with the present perfect, both parties will issue a joint statement. So it's very interesting because after once we're using the present perfect to talk about the future. Okay? The negotiations happen in the future, but the time clause uses the present perfect to emphasize completion. So in the future, once this has been done, okay? Once I have made the dinner, I will help you with your homework. Okay? Octavio, I'm glad you understand. That's awesome. Rigo, I'm tired of my job because of my bad English. What do you recommend? Work will be more fun if you improve your English, Rigo. I don't know what country you're in or what job you're doing, so without context, it's a bit tricky, you know? Thanks, Mr. Foster. Awesome. Okay, number 2, missing important differences between the present simple and the present perfect. This is another issue. So let's compare. I'll make a final decision after I speak to the board. I'll make a final decision after I speak to the board. Or I'll make a final decision after I've spoken to the board. So both are possible. The second places greater emphasis on completion of the discussion before the decision is made. Okay, here, I'll make a final decision after I've spoken to the board. This emphasizes that the discussion will be complete after the decision is made. Okay? Hello, Francisco. This is precisely the type of distinction that becomes important at C1. Okay? Point number 3, failing to distinguish simultaneous actions after completed ones. So let's compare these. While the committee was considering the proposal, further evidence emerged. Zazu, how can have spoken be used with future? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. How can have spoken be used with the future? This is what we're learning now, Zazu. Okay. Yeah, Zazu, I know. This is what you learned at B2, that the present perfect is for the past. And now you are in C1 and you realize, wait, it was a lie. Okay. Octavio, what level of English are you teaching now? This is level C1, C2, Octavio. Okay. So while the committee was considering the proposal, further evidence emerged. The consideration was in progress when the evidence emerged. Yes, Azu, I know. Oh, step by step. All right. So after the committee had considered the proposal, further evidence emerged. Now, this is totally different because here we can see the proposal was considered, but after the proposal, then further evidence emerged. Whereas in this one, while the committee was considering the proposal, further evidence emerged. It happened simultaneously. So the new evidence came out while they were still discussing or considering the proposal. Anna Maria, I sometimes think I'm B2 and sometimes C1. Lol. Yeah, could be. I mean, honestly, as well, Anna Maria, it depends what exam you do sometimes. In Spain, a lot of people now are doing the aptis exam, but I think everybody knows. And if you go for a job interview or something, everybody knows if you have B2 from aptis, it's not the same as having B2 from Cambridge or Trinity, for example. So and sometimes you can have different levels and different skills. Your listening might be C2 and your writing might be B2. It depends on the experience you have, stuff like that. Okay. Octavio, with a teacher like you, I understand everything. That's awesome. Okay. Hello, happy flower. Where are you from? I'm Irish. I'm from Ireland. Okay, so the consideration was in progress when the evidence emerged. After the committee had considered the proposal, further evidence emerged. The consideration was already complete when they discovered the new evidence. Anna Maria, yeah. The listening is the best for me, yeah? Me? I'm native in listening. Yes, you're native in listening. Yeah, that's awesome. It's academic. Octavio, it's academic English, right? Yes, it is pretty much. Okay. All right. So, as the committee was reconsidering the proposal, further evidence emerged, okay, in the past. So, again, this is simultaneous. Okay. Get out of your green with envy. Zazu? So which one happened first? Evidence emerged or has considered? One sec, Zazu. Let me go back up. In the two sentences, they're different. Look, while in this sentence, it happened at the same time. So they were considering the proposal and the evidence emerged. Okay, in the middle. So this was simultaneous. But with this one, they were considering the proposal, and then after they had considered the proposal, more evidence emerged. Okay? So, all right, Zazu, I hope you got that one. All right, let me see. As the committee was considering the proposal, further evidence emerged. So in this one, the two developments occurred at approximately the same time, with as often creating a stronger sense of two situations developing together. And obviously it's in the past. Okay? Number 4. Using while and during interchangeably. I had terrible trouble with during, guys, in Spanish, because in Spanish it's pretty different. This during and durante was very complicated for me. So while the negotiations were underway, neither side was willing to commit publicly. So this is again happening at the same time. Octavio, you would like to be in our chat. You can be in our what level do you have, Octavio? Yeah, you can be in the chat. Send me a WhatsApp and I can add you to the the WhatsApp group, okay? Using while and during interchange, yes. While the negotiations were underway, neither side was willing to comment publicly, okay? So again, with while, Zazu here, look, this is happening simultaneously. So they were negotiating, okay? And during this period of time of the negotiation, the two sides involved, or the two parties involved, were not willing to comment on the negotiations, okay? Anna Maria, of course you can. You can definitely be in the group, okay? Kirera, I just pretend I am. You just ought to be, okay, I thought you were pretending to be in the group. You're pretending about the level, is it? Zazu, with while, it's clear, okay? But the problem makes with past perfect, okay? Hello, Ree. So, during the negotiations, neither side was willing to comment publicly. So, why? While plus clause and during with a noun phrase. Okay, so if we go up here and have a look, while is with a clause, whereas during must go with a noun. Okay, so during the negotiations, but here it's while the negotiations were underway. So while must be with a clause, the full clause, whereas during needs to go with a noun, okay, or a noun phrase. Put it in here so you can see the difference. So the problem is that people mix these up and they're going to say like during the negotiations were underway or while the negotiations or something like this. Okay. I usually feel the blank spaces. Fill the blank spaces or fill in the blank spaces. Okay. At C1, the issue is no longer understanding what these words mean. It is controlling the structures that follow them. Okay. So, next point. Choosing the wrong past tense and accidentally changing the story. So this happens a lot. Let's consider when the auditors arrived, the documents disappeared. In this case, the disappearance occurred when they arrived. Okay? Right. Versus when the auditors arrived, the documents were disappearing in the same moment. The process was already taking place around the time. Or when the auditors arrived, the documents had disappeared. So this means they had already disappeared. They were already gone when the auditors arrived. You can imagine in, have you seen the movie The Wolf on Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio? Do you remember when the auditors came to check the office and they started shredding paper and trying to destroy things? Yeah, Anna Marie, you saw it? So it's a bit like that. Yes, Mother Earth. Mother Earth, did you study philology or something? You're very, yes, I can see that you like very much to give very precise names to everything. I'm afraid that if I did that, I would make everybody run away from my class. Whatever. The important thing is that I catch every Irish or Ireland word. Okay. I think you missed one at the start, eh? Because I've been asked 2 times and I didn't see you put any shot glass in the chat there or anything. Okay, Mother Earth, yes, you study philology, I think. Yeah, I try not to go overkill with terminology because people get very intimidated, Yeah, and many of my students say, Vicky, please explain this to me in a different way because I don't understand these terms, Okay, Octavia, thank you. I will check your private message when we finish the live, okay? Don't worry, I will check it. You've kind of scored so far? Okay, cool. I thought you were sleeping. Yeah, I thought you had a heavy weekend and Monday you couldn't face it. Okay, so one tense change completely alters the chronology of what happened. So number 6. Failing to recognize that the conjunction itself affects the meaning. Okay? For example, let's compare. The company continued operating until the investigation began. So the investigation began here, and until the investigation started, the company was operating until this moment. Okay, so the company continued operating until the investigation began, and then we can infer that it stopped operating. Okay, operation stopped or changed at that point. Compared to the company continued operating while the investigation was underway. So the company was operating, the investigation started, but the company continued operating while the investigation was ongoing. So in this case, the two situations overlapped. Okay, so they overlapped and they continued simultaneously to happen at the same time. Compared to the company continued operating after the investigation had begun. So the company was operating, the investigation started, and they continued operating after the investigation had begun. Okay? Guerrera, are you in a mountain somewhere that it's cold, or did you change country? Because I think in Granada it's not cold right now. Not that cold. The temperature has dropped this week though, hasn't it? So operation continued despite the investigation already having started. Next example. By the time the investigation was underway, several senior executives had resigned. Okay, so by the time, it doesn't translate very well. At least into Spanish, it doesn't translate almost at all. Really, there's no translation for by the time. So in your respective languages, I don't know if you can translate it. So by the time the investigation was underway, okay. So the investigation started here and now it's underway. So this is here the investigation. So at some point here, by the time it was underway, it had started, several executives had resigned. So this is really suspicious. Okay, they were obviously doing something that they shouldn't have been doing. So this is the underway. Okay, so it's getting underway, it's getting started. There are people, I don't know, in the office reading papers, and at this point the executives had started resigning. Okay, you're in Granada Mountains. Yeah, and it's cold there. Wow. Okay. Bueno, not necessarily jubilado. Octavio is saying retired, but resigned is not the same as retired, eh? So their resignations occurred before that reference point, before that they were resigning. Several senior executives had resigned, by which time the investigation was underway. Investigations had resigned, by which time the investigation was well underway. By which time the investigation was underway, by which time several senior executives had already resigned. Yeah. Yes, Octavio, I speak Spanish. Use construction by which time. Yeah, it's a good try. Rigo, do you know to speak Spanish? Sí, Rigo, habla español. Rigo, you are Rigo of Rodrigo, no? I suppose. So, their resignations occurred, yes, I read this. So at C1 and C2, we are no longer studying time clauses simply to answer which tense is grammatically correct. We are asking a much more advanced question. Which tense and conjunction express the exact chronological relationship I want to communicate? Hello, Jacob. What's up? Octavio, really speaking Spanish and English, eh? No, I completely miss. Rigoberto, that's awesome. Rigoberto, where are you from? Are you from Mexico? Or where? Rigoberto, it's cool. All right, part 2, future time clauses. Okay, Zazu, I think this could be interesting for you. One of the most important areas of time clauses is talking about the future. The difficulty is that although both actions refer to the future, we do not normally use a future tense in the time clause itself. Okay, I'm good, Jacob. Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Hey, thanks, guys. That's awesome. Isaac, Livia, Sermi, thank you for the hearts and the roses. It's so sweet. Shin Wink Winkski. What about Portuguese? I'm learning Portuguese. I have Portuguese class every week. In fact, this week I have it on Friday, I think. I have Portuguese class on Friday. Rigo, what do you think? I said Mexico, Rigo. Falo português, meu amiga, amigo. Okay. I also need to learn these. Yeah? Rigo, do you married? Do you married? Do you mean are you married? Sorry, Vicky. Okay, Alina, you're so sweet. Nighty night. I'll put it on YT so you can check it, okay? Es muito legal. Yeah, Portuguese is muito legal. Portuguese is very cool. That's awesome, Mother Earth. I'm so glad to have you. I think you definitely know your stuff. Shin Winwinsky, you're from Brazil, yeah? Greetings from Colombia. That's awesome. Are you married? That's a very personal question, Rigoberto. Very personal question there, eh? So, number one, the fundamental rule. After time conjunctions such as when, once, as soon as, before, after, and until, we normally use a present tense to refer to the future. So Zazu, I don't know if Zazu, if you are still here, this is really interesting for you, okay? Look. So after these conjunctions, we normally use the present simple to... Zazu's here. Zazu, this is a rule. I think you were confused. Maybe you... This is a rule you can write down in your notebook or you can take a screenshot or something, okay? Because after these, even though we're speaking about the future, we use the present, okay? It's just a rule. What is it to say? Anna Maria, can I go to the toilet? Only in English, otherwise. Our English teacher would advise us or would warn us or would obligate us to say, can I go to the toilet? Only in English. Yeah, it's a good one. I used to say it in Irish. Can I go to the toilet, please? It's Irish. Yeah. We wouldn't go. Oh no, you wouldn't go because you had to say it in English. More easy than TOEFL. Yeah. You could say go to the ladies' room too. Nice. Okay, so different. Us Irish. Yeah, Irish is really different. It's really different. Okay, let's compare. Once the investigation is complete, Zazu, can you see? Once, this already puts it in the future. Once the investigation is complete. So we don't say once the investigation will be complete. Just once the investigation is complete, the findings will be made public. Okay? Not once the investigation will be complete. Okay? So once the investigation is complete, the findings will be made public. Both events are in the future. The investigation is completed, the findings are published. Okay? Hello, Anka. Yeah, you could in some cases. Once the investigation is completed, once the investigation is completed, the finding will be made public. Yeah, you could say that as well. Good job, Shin Winwinsky. You could also say this. You could, Fanan, you the same question. Yes. You could also say completed. You could also say complete. You could. Zia, hello. Hallazgos, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Findings in Spanish. Yeah, Gladolia, good job. You can also say this. Anka. Thank you, Anka. That's very sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, however, will appears in the main clause while a present tense appears in the time clause. Another example, the restrictions will remain in place until the authorities determine that the situation is under control. So guys, in this case, you couldn't use the past, you know? Okay, Zazu, it was only hard to hear will and present perfect together. Yeah, your English must be good if it was hard for you to hear. I I can tell you a funny story. I was in a restaurant a few years ago. Um, Hello, Cole. Hey, thank you for your message before. I will address that ASAP. I was in a restaurant, really nice restaurant, and I said to my partner, I said, blah 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 blah. I will see tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going at 2:30. And he said, "What? What did you say?" And I said, "I'm going at 2:30." And he said, "Why did you say half? Why didn't you say half?" And I said, "Oh, because the L is silent in half." And he said, "What?" He didn't believe me, took out his phone and started replaying the pronunciation of half using Google Translate over and over and over and over and over again. His brain was totally destroyed. He was like, I can't believe my entire life I have been saying half and it's pronounced half. Totally destroyed. The same thing happened with he was very bad. He was just in the restaurant again and again and listening again and like, I don't understand how I didn't know this. Yeah. So another one was the jeans. These jeans, this was very funny. It was a student of mine. We're still friends actually, many years ago. Many years ago. I met him on the street in our city, the city where I still live, and we met on the street and we were speaking. And behind us was this shop. It was about this jeans that I put in the chat. And I said something, blah, 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 Levi jeans, they're really good jeans, or whatever, nice shop. And he said, what? What? What did you say? And I was like, Levi jeans. Why are you saying that? Why are you saying Levi? And I was like, because that's how you pronounce this brand. And he's like, no, 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 no. He said, I have been my whole life saying Levi. And I was like, oh God, no, we don't say Levi. You cannot say Levi jeans. And he was totally traumatized. I was like, no, nobody says Levi, it's Levi jeans. Oh, it was very funny. I think you Spanish guys, you know that like in Spain we say Levi jeans. But yeah, no, it's Levi. Octavio, yes, querer es poder, exactly. Let me see. I used to say that to my students like always. Yeah. Whole is whole, yeah. Have I missed much, Cole? You've missed the entire life. I'm kidding. Hello, big money. Mr. Foster, everything. Okay. Jeans, yeah, exactly. Winsky, yeah. This is really subtle, that's why Levi's. How do you say the car Mercedes Benz? Mercedes Benz. And I know that some in Spain they say Mercedes. Mercedes comes with C, no? And I know some people, I think in Asia, in Japan, they just say Benz. Cole, we say levy as a tax, exactly, Cole, exactly. Cole, I'm totally convinced you are a native speaker and you're just taking the piss being here, but yeah. The levy on plastic carrier bags, exactly. I didn't mention that because I didn't want to totally freak people out, but yes, levy is a type of tax, as Cole says. So when you say levy jeans, it's very funny. Mercedes Benz, yeah, big money. That's how I say it as well. The words are most confused. Is oh my goodness, Anka, yeah, exactly. Choir, totally. Big money. I struggle to write burglar. Yeah, and received. Okay, yeah. I learned choir pronunciation with Spanish Sahara by Foles. Oh yeah. In German it sounds Mercedes. Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because they are the ones who created the car, right? Mercedes is German. What gives you that impression? Are you being serious? They are only kind of big. Are these hard words to write, or is it just me, Vicky? Yeah, I think they're also hard words to write too. Yeah, Cole, I completely Cole. Sometimes I think that like you know me and you've got like a fake name and you're just taking the piss all the time. I think you're like somebody that I know. Okay, but like, that's the funny thing about TikTok, you know. Okay, right. Where was it now? Yes. However, will appears in the main clause while present tense appears in the time clause. Another example, the restrictions will remain in place, yes, until the authorities determine that the situation is under control, not until the authorities will determine. Okay? This is one of those rules advanced students often know perfectly well in theory, but still break when producing a complicated sentence spontaneously. This is true. I would never do that. I'm as innocent as it gets. Oh yeah, okay. Would you like me to zoom a bit for you? Big money. I am friends with Cole, and he is a kind guy, not native though. Really? Big money? Okay. Alright, so did he how much did he pay you to say that? I bet he just sent you a Revolut, did he? Miss, which university do you study at? University College Cork. Cole, yes please, forget to mention it please. Do zoom in. Okay. Alright guys, so we've done 1 hour, we've done our live. He may be teaching me too. Yes. Okay. Is he a freaking teacher or something? He's teaching you. Are you his student? My goodness. I don't know. So, let's leave it there for tonight. Okay, we did a good job. So, we won't tear the ass out of it. Joking? Okay. So, we'll leave it here. Tomorrow, we'll take off from there. Okay? Mother Earth, knowing that you can use most regular verbs as nouns and studying prefixes and suffixes is helpful. Yes, it is totally helpful. No, I've just got here. Oh, big money. What time might we get to the live class tomorrow? Oh, I don't know. Rigo. Thank you, Rigo. Yeah, it's wild now. Octavio, shh. Guys, we can do like... I have a time, big money if you really want to. I have got a little speaking here. Look. So, let me see. Okay, I'm going to introduce this one, seeing as you asked so nicely. Any story today? Well, I told the story about the Levi jeans. The only story that just came to my mind now was a story I cannot tell on TikTok. Okay, I can, and I think if you're not Spanish, you're not going to understand. I can tell the story, but it's going to be really bad, and some of you will probably think less of me after I tell that story. And it's the only one that occurs to me right now in my mind, and I definitely don't think I should tell it. Let me see. Hang on now. The time is always a surprise. How did English people come up to so many tenses? We actually don't have so many tenses. Actually, we have very few tenses compared to most languages. Big money. I was at the store. I've just drove back. Yeah? Cole, I have lost my voice. Oh no, I cannot do speaking for the next few weeks. Okay. We'll send you some, we'll send you some. Drink ginger. Rigo, I dream of having a woman like you. Okay. Well, you haven't met me in person, so I think that could be, yeah. And obviously, guys, oh, I can tell you a story. I've got a story. Right. I totally shouldn't tell this story either. So, look, when I was a teenager, there was a guy, and times, well, he didn't ask me to my face because I was extremely shy. I literally did not speak to boys at all, ever, okay? So he spoke to my friends. I can't tell all of this story because it's too bad. And I've prayed for him, no, but anyway, this guy, I'm going to cut a long story short. No, I can't tell the other parts of the story. I'm going to cut a long story short. This guy, anyway, started a band. Okay, started a band, and... at one point, he invited some of us to a concert. So we went to the concert, and I was watching this concert, and like when you see a person playing an instrument like in front of hundreds of people, okay, in my mind, I was like, oh, like maybe he's kind of cute. So I think this is something that happens to people sometimes when you see a person like in a particular, I don't know, like a teacher or somebody in a band or like a footballer. This has happened to me. Or a footballer or somebody who's like in the spotlight for whatever random thing. That person is not really like that in real life, They're like probably a totally normal person and nothing special. It's just in one particular circumstance, they look like, they're there and you see them in the middle of the middle of everything. But no. It's fake. Okay, it's not real. You see, Rigo, you were accused of being the teacher's pet last week, so now you're getting revenge, ¿no? Discúlpame, miss, pero tienes unos hermosos osos azules como... ¿Cómo? De la Vía Láctea. Is that the Milky Way? Oh, it's like the... Okay. So, Octavius mentioned I have eyes like the Milky Way. That's a really nice compliment. I will take this compliment. Thank you so much. Not every day that somebody tells you you have eyes like the Milky Way, so why not? Mr. Foster, people are begging for stories. In Romanian, we have 8 tenses, yeah? 8, like in Spanish, no? I think like Spanish has way more tenses than English. It's way more complicated. Mother Earth, knowing things like con, com, call, mean, togetherness, yeah, help us, your comprehension. Totally, Mother Earth, absolutely. I'm totally behind now in the chat. Spanish, solo tres. In Georgian, we have 3 present, past, and future tenses. Yeah? Okay, in Georgian. Okay. You were blush and crushing. Yes, at the leader position. Yeah, the leader position. Something strange about this. If you are in a leader position for anything, this always happens, but it's fake. It's this stupid thing, and it's some primal thing or whatever. I don't know. Oh, you've put the same comment. Vicky, it's inappropriate to say you are a dream person. Right, so is not allowed. What's this? Vicky, it's inappropriate to say you are a dream person. What do you mean? Big money, I don't understand. They don't hear this. I'm Irish. I'm from Ireland. I am not a teacher's pet. I am just a very keen student to get the grades in C1. I know, Cole. Why not C2? Good question. Rigo, I don't know what you're like in real life, but I must say that I simply dream of being looked at by nothing. I think my level is about C1 or C2. Cole, I'd say so, at least. Irlanda del Norte, the north of Ireland? No, the south. Flirting with teacher is not allowed, huh? Boundary. Look, I'm too old now. I've been teaching for too long to be, I don't know, for this kind of thing. Irlanda del Sur, yeah, the south of Ireland. Yeah. This is not dating chat room, everybody. Okay. So, speaking about free speech, okay? China has one of the world's most restrictive systems of internet censorship. Major foreign platforms and sources of information are blocked, while content on domestic platforms can be filtered or removed. During the COVID-19 pandemic, researchers documented censorship on platforms such as WeChat, including criticism of the government's response, as well as some factual and neutral information about the outbreak. This raises a controversial question. Should governments ever have the power to restrict what citizens say online in the interest of stability, public safety, or preventing misinformation? Mr. Foster, flirting prolongs the lifespan, just in case. Does it? That's really interesting. Me gusta la música, su música. Oh, you like Irish music, yeah? I'm a friend, not a flirt. I know, big money, it's okay. Guys, that's a really interesting question. Mr. Foster, can you add that to our list of speaking topics? Guys, look, I'm Irish. In Ireland, okay, I know I mentioned previously that I was really shy. It's true. But in Ireland, it's very typical for men and women to be friends. We don't have like this, I don't know, over-actualized culture. It's really, really different. And actually something for me personally makes me really sad that, because obviously I've lived in lots of different countries and you need to adapt a lot, you know, things like jealousy, like just you do something that is totally appropriate in Ireland or something that's totally normal and it's not allowed in another country or not seen well. And for me, it's been really a big journey, you know. Please scroll down a bit. Do any of your students follow here? Yeah, some of them do, Anna Maria. Yeah, some of them do. Yeah, yes, no ambiguity. I hate when everyone sexualizes everything. I can tell you a story, guys, if you really want a story, bedtime story. I was Does anybody know where my first job as an English teacher was? It was quite an interesting place. I hope nobody takes offense from this story now either, but it's true, totally true story. The store. Mr. Foster, my first job was in Egypt, in Cairo specifically, okay? So I went there, I was just out of university a year, and I moved to Cairo, okay? Now, totally crazy when I think about it. In the slums, no, it wasn't in the slums, it was in downtown Cairo. So what happened? First of all, so I became friends with my students because best place for women, I know, yeah. I became friends with my students because, well, I didn't know anybody else apart from my boss, really. So one day, 2 of my students walked me home, right? Which, for me is a totally normal thing. Because I think we had finished at school, we'd gone to drink tea or coffee with more students, and maybe it was a bit late, and they were both men, they decided to walk me to my flat, right? So, at that time, I was staying in a 1-bedroom flat that was paid for by my boss. This is a long time ago, so there was no Wi-Fi. So my landlady was living in the flat next to me. And every day she would pass me over the cable so that I could plug in my computer to use the internet. Every day she would do this. Over the balcony, she would pass me the cable. I could plug in and I could do my work and prepare my classes and whatever. So it was great. I couldn't speak Arabic. She couldn't speak English, but she took care of me. It was totally fine. So what happened? My students, I won't say their names, they walked me to my flat. And then I did the very typical Irish thing. Hello, Clip Zone. What do you think I did at that point? It wasn't late. It wasn't that late. But I did something that's very, very typically Irish. Very typically Irish, I did. Claro, big money. Exactly. I said, guys, would you like to come in for some tea? And I should have known then because both of them, yeah or no. So both of them looked, it doesn't have a sad ending, this story, okay? I was like, would you like to have some tea? Oh geez. So they looked at each other anyway, they came inside. Of course, there was a security guy at the door. I didn't realize this because I never took any notice of this guy, but there was a guy permanently stationed at the entrance, okay? Now, little did I know that he had everyone's phone number, my boss's phone number, the landlady's phone number, everybody. So we went upstairs and the 2 guys came into my flat. I was like, oh, you can go and check the balcony because I had a nice balcony and there was a nice view. It was the 5th or 6th floor and I had a view of Cairo or whatever. So I opened the door and they were sitting in the balcony and I was making the tea. And I think I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes passed and my phone rang and it was my boss. And he didn't say hello, he didn't say anything. He just said, get those 2 men out of your apartment right now. And I was like, oh shit. And I went, my students, one of them in particular was really nice. We were friends, no? And the other guy, whatever, and I said to him, I was like, hey, they just called me and said that you guys need to leave, right now. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. And he was like, yeah, I was afraid this would happen. And I said, okay. So they were like, okay, we'll leave. So they left. The next day, my boss was super angry and he explained to me the situation. And after that, my landlady would not look at me and would not give me the internet anymore. So I was in my house with no internet. Yeah. So there's your story, guys, about this. It was anyway. Oh yes, my point. The point about the flirting. No, Irish people are very much like this. When my best friend when I was a kid was a guy, and one of my best friends. Yeah, he was from primary school until university, I think. I did not know that he was gay, but I didn't find out till we were in university that he was gay. But The point is, he was a guy, and nobody ever said anything. Well, my grandmother said sometimes, "Oh, it would be really nice if you married this guy." I was like 15. But the point is that nobody ever questioned it really, and so in Ireland, men and women work together. They spend time together. You can have guy friends, girlfriends, and nobody's going to think like, "Oh, is there something going on between the two of you?" Or, "Oh, I can see that you are like flirting." In Spain, for me, like the amount of times people have said to me, "Oh, you like this guy," or, "Oh, I can see there's something," and I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And they're, "Oh yeah, because we can see, like we can tell, like you are I don't know, insane." But so just for being nice here, and other countries are interesting also. With this, it's very curious, the whole thing, and it's a bit sad for me, honestly. Let me see. Let me catch up with what you guys are saying. Anna Maria, I learning a bit slowly. Yeah. Mother Earth, there is English and there is the culture behind English language. They go hand in hand, inseparable. Totally. I love to learn about culture. Yeah. Faux pas. It was a giant faux pas, Cole. Yeah, huge faux pas. It's tea. Anna Maria, like, do men respect women more in Ireland? I suppose generationally, it depends on the generation, but I think men are pretty respectful. Obviously, you have people who are not, older gentlemen. Another thing that I noticed as well, which I probably shouldn't say either, is like older men especially like passing around photos of women, inappropriate photos. That's really disturbing. That does happen in Ireland and they think it's funny. Or making like sexist jokes. Yeah. I do pull people up on that. Like I have been accused here by somebody in this group of not like speaking up. And I have done, but like sometimes it's just like banging your head against the wall. And I just say, okay, I just want to stay away from this person. So in Ireland, there are some people who do but usually older men. Probably like you're talking about like people who are over 40. I think now under 40, I think this has been beaten out of them. Not beaten out of them, but I think they know better, than to make a sexist joke or homophobic joke or something like that. No me conoces? Get me up. I want to ask a question. Yeah, no me conoces. What question do you want to ask? Can you speak in English? Ireland is about hospitality as far as I can gather from the story. Yeah, totally, exactly, Mr. Foster. Yeah, tea is a big thing in Ireland. Tea is a huge thing. For us, Irish people's always like come to my house and we make tea and give somebody biscuits. This is a big thing for us. Big money. You have a very powerful accent or accent? Something about Dubai, but I can't read it. Les Mystères du Monde, Mysteries of the World. I'm not sure what language that looks like. French, but I don't know. You wrote to me in private, okay? Guerrera, I don't like that at all either. It's a pity. Yeah, Guerrera, totally. It's really sad. It's really, really sad. The first world society is not built on naming and shaming. Exactly, Mother Earth, yeah. Mr. Foster, but what's wrong with liking someone? It doesn't necessarily mean you're dating them. I think the point, Mr. Foster, is there's no middle ground. Like just because you're speaking to someone or being kind or being polite does not mean you're romantically interested in that person. Of course, people can have crushes and all this kind of stuff, but like not necessarily. So my point is that we're not animals, you can have a conversation with somebody of the opposite sex or same sex, whatever, and not have a romantic interest in that person, But in some countries, if you speak to a person or look at them, it implies that you're romantically interested in them, which is really, I think it's really sad. Big money, you tried potatoes, yeah? You tried potatoes, that's awesome. Anna Maria, I agree. It goes without saying, yeah, okay. Big voice. Oh, my accent, how I speak. Yeah, I meant in general. Okay. We're not animals. All right, now I know. Yeah, no, we're not. So it's like, yeah, it's just, yeah, man is by nature a social animal, wrote Aristotle. Yeah. So I think people should be able to speak. But I understand that it's a very complicated situation, but it shouldn't be, but I understand that it is, Interesting topics tonight. Yeah, you like the anecdote? Well, Mr. Foster spurred me on. I do have so many stories, but like sometimes I need a second to think about like what. I didn't expect to tell those stories now tonight, but there you go. Yeah. And about the speaking, I lived in China. If you didn't know, I lived in China for 13 months. And when I arrived, my father was really worried because he couldn't contact me and I couldn't use my phone. And it took me a really long time to get organized to simply be able to make contact with the world outside of China. Granted, it was a few years ago, but it was kind of not a scary feeling. I wasn't scared. I was happy to be there. I was very excited and I was in a safe place. I was very well taken care of from the beginning. But it's a weird feeling when you arrive in a country and you realize like you cannot just connect to Wi-Fi and send a message to your family, or even make a phone call outside of that country. It was a weird feeling. It was like, whoa, I'm really far away right now. I felt very far away when I was living in China. I was in Australia also, which is equally far away, but I did not feel as far away. It's very curious. Big Money, Vicky, do you answer messages on here? Yeah, of course I answer messages. I'm answering, I do. Oh, do you mean on private messages? Thank you for updating links. I didn't update the links yet. Private ones. I try to answer the message. I've got several messages now I haven't answered. I try to answer the messages, Big Money, yeah. And I'm sure you tell interesting stories in your lessons. Yeah, I do tell stories. And people tend to remember them. Anna Maria, did you have to use WeChat to your family? The first thing that I did because I was worried that I could not contact my father, anybody, to tell them that I was okay. So I actually went to the hotel reception and I asked if I could pay to use their phone. So they allowed me to pay, and my father was quite rightly freaking out. But then I said, hey, I couldn't contact you before because XYZ, but I'm fine, I'm at the hotel. That was the first one, and then I needed to get a VPN. And once I had the VPN, then I was able to use Facebook and Gmail. But before that, I needed to get a VPN. So VPN is basically, I think you probably know what a VPN is. Yeah. At that time, they were not allowed, But foreigners, we were allowed to use them as long as you were foreign. You could have one. Mother Earth, there is always culture shock. Yeah. No matter where you are. Yeah. Oh my God, I have now. It's occurring to me, Mother Earth. Or Mr. Foster, you can remind me to tell some stories about culture shock because I have a lot. Guerrera, so you felt isolated someone child? Yeah, but isolated, I don't know, but just I felt really far away when I was in China. Due to the absence of language barrier in Australia, I didn't feel yourself so far away from home. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Foster. I think that definitely probably played a role as well, the language. Cole, can you please make a bulletin on here? A bulletin? I would if I could, but I don't know how to. You sent me a message, Big Money? Okay. Oh, nice. Hello, Madhu. Aminata, hey. VPN is third party. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you one more story and then we definitely have to go to bed, right? About the culture shock that Mother Earth was mentioning there. So I so I like sports, you guys know. So I joined a gym in China. Thank you. Okay. I joined a gym in China. Okay, Madhu, that's awesome. Thank you so much. So I joined a gym and I bought a bicycle. Now, I had a friend, an English friend. He was one of my colleagues at work and we were good friends. We spent a lot of time together. And he said to me when I said, hey, I won't say his name. I said, hey, I joined the gym. And he said, oh no, Vicky, no. He said, I think we should try to breathe as little as possible while we are here. I said, what? But it's true because it's the quality of the air is really bad. Okay, so he was very upset that I had joined the gym because he felt that I would need to breathe and use my lungs more in this case. Anyway, I continued going to the gym. So one day I was on the way to the gym on my bicycle. So I had my bicycle, I was on the way to the gym, and the gym was in like a really, really big complex, like a shopping center with shops and restaurants and all of this. So I was cycling around the outside of the periphery of the shopping center, and there was like a road. There was how can I explain this? So here there was like restaurants, food, and then a green area with lots of places where you could eat your food. So a lot of people around, like going to the restaurant, crossing this little road, and having their picnic or whatever on the other side. So I was cycling along, and suddenly in front of me there was a chef wearing all white, and he just walked out the main door of the restaurant. He walked out the door, and he had like this around the neck, a giant white goose. So he was like holding the goose around the neck like this, and the goose was like flapping like this. And in the other hand, he had like a giant butcher's knife. You know, the ones for cutting bone, a really big square one. So he came out the door with this goose and this huge knife, and he just like put the goose on the ground, because where the curb is, you know, like this, and chopped the goose's head off, and then just like walked back into the restaurant, the main door of the restaurant. And I just stopped my bike, and I was like, I think at the time I was vegetarian, more or less. So I was completely shocked. I was like totally shocked. I can't remember what he did with the head of the goose, or if he went back in. I don't remember. And then when you went to the supermarket, horrid, it was totally horrid. I have a lot of stories about geese, eh? So that was one. And then when you went to the supermarket, okay, there was like, so you're walking around a proper supermarket, okay? You're walking around a proper supermarket, and there's like this giant glass screen. No more. This giant, okay, is it too much? Because this one is not as bad. Well, maybe it is. Anyway, inside, you're very sad. Oh, is it too much? It just, when Mother Earth mentioned culture shock, it's too much? Okay, I won't. Because the other ones are, how can I close my ears? Oh, well, yeah, sorry, you're vegetarian or vegan. Okay, yeah. So I have several more stories about like geese and ducks and stuff. So anybody who wants to know about those, I don't know, maybe we can have like an 18 plus speaking day, and I'll tell the rest of those stories. Okay. All right. So maybe we should go to bed now, because we're going to turn into pumpkins. Mr. Foster, at least you could have been happy for the restaurant's visitors. They ate exceptionally fresh goose that evening. Yeah, super fresh. Modu, help me. I want to speak English, and my English is not okay. Okay, you're in a good place then. Yeah, you're in a good place. Yeah. I hope you guys don't have nightmares after that then. Okay, let me see. All right. Does anybody want to hear the rest of the duck stories? I can tell you the rest of the geese stories, but maybe you feel sad for the poor goose. Do you want to hear the other two really quick? Anybody who really didn't like the previous story, now it's time to go, guys. Okay, you want to hear all the stories? Okay, look. The next thing, okay, so I was in the supermarket, right? The shopping center, a big supermarket, with my trolley. And I looked, and there was a huge glass window, and inside were live chickens. So what happens is, you need to go to the butchers, and you tell them, hey, I want this chicken. And they go there, like the same in a restaurant when you pick out your fresh fish. The fish is like swimming down the tank. You get your chicken, and you say, I want that chicken. They will kill the chicken, pluck the chicken, take all of the innards out of the chicken, and prepare the chicken for you while you are shopping. And then when you finish your shopping, you come back, pick up your chicken, which is still warm, by the way, and you can go home with your fresh chicken. So yeah, that was pretty shocking. And then another day, I had a sore throat, and I was at work. And at my job, I had an assistant, okay, at that job. That's something usual in Romania too. Yeah, this is usual in Romania. 11 shots for the chicken. Wait, that's not the worst chicken story, okay? So I had a sore throat, and my assistant, I said to her, oh, today I have a sore throat. And she disappeared. She went outside, and she came back with this like brown paper bag, like this kind of shape. And she said, Vicky, this is for you. This is for you. This will help your throat. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. I won't say her name. I said, thanks so much. And I was like, what is it? So I should open it. So I started, and it was like totally sticky. like this brown, really, really sticky stuff. And I was like, oh my God, good grief, what is this? And she was like, you need to eat it. And I was like, but what am I eating? And she's like, you need to chew it. You know, it's very good for your throat. And I was like, what? But it was the neck of a duck. So she said to me that in Chinese medicine, that if you have a problem with your throat, you should eat the throat of something else. And this will help because it has the minerals and vitamins or whatever that your throat needs. So anyway, I said, I really politely declined. And I was like, thank you so much. I really appreciate the thought, but I said, I cannot eat this. And she was like, and she just whipped it off and she started chewing on it, gnawing on it herself. So that was that. Okay, now the finale of this chicken story, I think it's the last one, and it is by far the worst. So I will tell you that one and we're definitely going to bed. That, what a service about. Okay, where are you? Do the live. I do the lives from my house. Mother Earth, chicken is not good for your health, nor is eggs or white flour and vegetables. Vegetables are not good for your health. Vegetables. The frog, yes. Who is the frog? Depends. I think red meat is worse for your health. Oh my God. So what can I eat in that case? Gerda, I've studied traditional Chinese medicine, but I strongly reject that part. Okay. Yep, Chinese cuisine has a lot to do with dogs. Oh my goodness, I have a story about a dog. But that we can't remind me about that for the next day, okay? That's a widely known fact. I think eggs are a great protein though. I eat a lot of eggs. Oh no, that I don't like. Okay, look. So you remember my friends who told me not to go to the gym? They all know that I love animals. My colleagues at work know that I love animals. So they decided, a bunch of them, they decided to take me to the zoo. Okay? So I had gone to the zoo in Shanghai by myself, which was a really nice zoo. People stopped me to get a photo with me because, you know, I was like, it's not often you see a foreigner. So they would stop. So they were not taking photos of the animals. They wanted to take a photo with me, okay? Because I'm the foreign one there. So that was in Shanghai. But then when I moved to another city, which is really, really Chinese, like far away, these zoos are not the zoos that we imagine here, okay? They're very different. So we went there in a big group. And then, oh, Vicky, you know, Vicky will be really excited. Vicky loves animals. Da, 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 da. Okay. So one of the first stops was the big cats. Okay. So we were on like a path, and to the right was like a moat there. Okay. So the only thing was protecting us was like a high wall. We were at the top of the wall, and then there was like a big moat. And on one side, you had about 16 tigers. And on the other side, there was maybe like 10 or 12 lions. So the tigers and the lions were separate, okay? So we're looking down at a lot of tigers. Wow, there's a lot of tigers, you know? And a lot of lions. And then my boss's husband, he was a real Prick. Anyway, but he was like, Vicky, now you're going to see, like, you know, my favorite part of coming to the zoo. And I was like, okay. So he took me over to this man. This man was like, this small guy was sitting on a small stool next to a giant cage. And inside the cage was loads of chickens. And then my boss's husband said, Vicky, would you like a chicken? And I said, what? What do you mean, would I like a chicken? What am I going to do with the chicken? And he was like, I'll show you. And I was like, okay. So anyway, he gave this poor guy some money. And the guy grabbed one of the chickens and gave the guy the chicken by the two legs. So my boss's husband was holding this live chicken by the legs. Okay, and the live chicken was like, bark, bark, bark. And he's holding with the legs. And the guy said, Vicky, which do you prefer, the lions or the tigers? And I was like, what? And he was like, let's go with the tigers. So then he walked over to the wall and he like swung the chicken around and he threw the chicken at the tigers over the water. Oh, and I only remember the poor chicken, like chickens cannot fly, okay? The poor chicken did everything it could. I can only remember like the chicken was flapping there, and all the tigers all knew. So all of the tigers like came together in this giant ball, and the chicken just went into the middle of the tigers. It was so bad, and I can still see it in my mind. And then they looked at me like, Vicky, what do you think about this? I did not speak to anyone for the rest of the time at the zoo. I was like I was complete horrified. I wasn't angry. I was just like, I totally lost my voice. I couldn't, I was, and they were only asking me like, are you okay? And I couldn't speak. I couldn't even respond. So we continued the tour around the zoo, but I couldn't speak. Like, even if I wanted to speak, there was no thought in my mind to say anything. I was just like totally, didn't react at all, you know? Oh, it was very bad. It was very bad. So, yeah, I was pretty traumatized. So, the zoos there are really different to our zoos here, you know? Modu says rice is your favorite. You like rice? Oh, hang on a second. There's more up here. Get it up. Legumes have a great amount of protein, some seeds, and don't need eggs necessarily for protein. The only is legumes have a lot of carbohydrate, and seeds don't seem to agree with me at all. In fact, legumes don't really seem to agree with me either. You like rice, Modu? Mr. Foss's storytelling session is drawing a bigger audience than the English class itself. Really? That's quite funny. Mother Earth, I refer you to the late Dr. Dia El Awadi from Egypt, tried and tested by normal people. What's that, Mother Earth? Who's that person? Who is that person? I don't know. I'm interested now. Mother Earth, I'm going to check who that is after. Horror stories to sleep like a baby, yeah. Anna Maria, sorry, I seem amused about the agony of the chicken, but I was raised this way. You were raised this way? Yeah? Oh. Yeah, I'm used to, don't worry. Okay, traumatized. Cultural differences, exactly. We were speaking about culture shock, yeah. I didn't know that about their zoos, yeah. I think the thing is, that's the problem, Anna Maria, when we travel to China, for example, we visit Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong, and you're not allowed out. You need another very special visa to leave. But I was working in the bowels of China, you know, so you see a totally different side of China than in one of the three big cities, you know. Agostino, where are you from? I'm Irish. Guerrera, we treat animals horribly everywhere, no surprise. But can you imagine, Guerrera, in Spain, for me, it's very shocking the way animals are treated here. In Ireland and England, it's better, eh? It's better, I have to say. In fairness, even despite the fact that I'm Irish, in England, it's even better than in Ireland, eh? We have really good principles for animal husbandry, generally. Anna Maria, I wouldn't do that to the chicken, but my grandma would, yeah? Them in front of my eyes. It's a bit different because she's killing them to eat them, you know? That's another thing, Anna Maria, to throw the poor misfortunate chicken for entertainment. You know, he threw the chicken for entertainment, for our entertainment. It's like, that's just, it's messed up, I think. Mother Earth, Dr. Dia was a controversial Egyptian anesthesiologist and alternative health influencer. Yeah, that's really cool. You have to show you, yeah, we take good care of animals. Yeah, for entertainment is bad. I mean, it's not. You should, I mean, hurting an animal, hurting a person, like for entertainment, it's really serious lack of education. And then, yeah, you know, what was I thinking then about as I'm here, the same guy, the same man who threw this chicken, they had a dog. I was often asked to take care of this dog. The dog ate my bathroom. That's another story. Anyway, this man was walking home one night with a friend of his, And in China, it's really typical to have like um let me see. Do you know a cement mixer? Cement mixer, it looks like this guy. Hang on. It is this, yeah, like this thing. You know this thing? It's for mixing cement. Cement mixer, yeah, a cement mixer. So it was very typical where I was living. They had this, one of these, with wheels, and then they put a fire inside and they use this to cook and then stand on the street and sell different things that they're cooking in this cement mixer. So one night, this guy was walking home and he found a man selling food from a cement mixer. So they stopped to ask him, like, what are you selling? And the guy was pulling after him a small dog with like a string around his neck. And my boss's husband said, like, oh, how much is the dog? What do you know? And the guy told him the price, and the guy was going to cook the dog in the cement mixer for them for that price. And my boss's husband anyway said, oh, no, thank you, we don't want to eat the dog, but I will give you this money and we will take the dog. So he paid the man for the dog and he took the dog home. And they called me to their house then to see the dog. So I saw the dog that ate my bathroom and this other small little dog. I don't know what happened to that dog afterwards because they didn't keep it. I'm not sure what happened to the dog. But yeah, I remember the little dog. He was like a small, skinny little thing. Poor thing. But they just find the dog on the street and say, yeah, I'll cook this dog up for you and cook it in the cement mixer, and that's all. So, Anna Maria, you can't say that out loud, but they're messed in the head. Mother Earth running around like a chicken, like a headless chicken. Running around like a chicken with no head. Yeah, exactly. English expression. Yeah, running around like a headless chicken. In England, there are beagle breeding facilities that sell dogs for animal testing. I mean, that's terrible. That's horrific, yeah. Modu, Vicky, I'm a Senegalese. Can I know your country? I'm Irish. People from Senegal are really nice, eh? Generally. Chinese style barbecue, Mr. Foster, yeah. Oh, okay. So I wonder to what extent they are better in this regard. Yeah. I don't know how interesting it is to go into detail about that, like, cause I grew up on a farm, so I know there's quite a lot of differences, even just in terms of letting animals outside. Like horses should be outside for a number of hours every day so that they can run around, and in other countries, people own a horse, but they will keep a horse in a stable for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and not take the horse outside and not even have space for the horse to run around. So things like that, things like El Rocio, when you can rent a horse to people, the horses that die there, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of investigation about how the horses die or what happened when the horses died, whereas in other countries it might be investigated, for example. Okay, awesome, guys. So we've been here almost 2 hours, right? It was a lot of fun. I better let you go. Yeah, so we got on to speaking about China anyway. We can speak about free speech another day. Okay, so I hope you have a lovely night and you've had a good start to the week. Okay, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Please